but I was not here for good reason, not for ill reason, so that's a positive. And I apologize again, it won't happen. We have 4 weeks left of the semester. I do take roll at this point. If you are absent past the amount of time that was allotted to you, which is your responsibility to be aware of over the course of the semester, which is, for our class, 5 periods. So that's quite a bit of class to miss. If you missed more than one more class than twice the amount of times we meet, you are dropped from the class. So I will be notifying those people who have missed that many if they are here. And if they are not, they will be dropped. And that will be communicated via email. So just an FYI and a heads up. I have, so I know that's like a negative to start our day on, but it is what it is. That's just the truth. A couple of other things to note, okay? I am currently right now looking at our the 421 portion of our class. I'm looking at it online. And at this point I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who have not completed enough of their 421 lab to pass the class successfully. What does that mean? That means that if you have not been going to 421, then you are wasting your time sitting here. There's a few people in here that I need to talk to that need to get these assignments caught up, or they won't be able to pass. We only have 4 weeks of class left, like I said, not to be a negative Nancy the minute I walk in, but it's important to review this information and the expectations of it. I'm not going to obviously call out your names, but I will check in with you before the end of our class today, during the break most likely, to say, hey, if you don't do this, you're probably not going to pass, and you should retake the 321 and 421 class. Okay, that fun stuff being out of the way. Let me talk to you about the rest of the class and what we have. So for the remainder of our class, for 4 weeks, we meet essentially twice a week for 4 weeks, and then once during the holiday week, which is that that Monday. Do we meet the Wednesday before Thanksgiving? Are you familiar with the Thanksgiving schedule? Those of you who have other classes here? You're shaking your head no, we don't meet?
I don't know.
Okay, my assumption is, so I think we do meet that day. So that being said, we have 8 class meetings left and then a final exam. So what will your final exam be? Your final exam will be everything that we've learned. It'll be cumulative, okay? That means it takes in all the information that we've collected over the course of the semester and it puts it to use. Okay, before we get to that part, we're going to finish working on writing paragraphs. Okay, but how is it that we write paragraphs? How do we structure those paragraphs? Okay, we talked briefly about that on the Friday last that we met. Okay, I talked to you about topic sentences. You remember topic sentences? You guys remember that? Hello, hi, good to see you guys. We're in class. Nice to see you. Half of our class is here. So topic sentences. You remember topic sentences? Nice. Sandra remembers them. So topic sentences. Tell me about those topic sentences. What do they have in them? Huh? An SVO is important to remember. Absolutely. What else? Go ahead.
Controlling idea.
Controlling idea. Well done. Thank you very much, Sandra. And if I have an SVO and a controlling idea, there's one other piece. What's in there?
Topic, subject.
Subject. So today what we're going to do is this, you guys, and I'm kind of bummed out that we have such low attendance because I wanted to talk to the whole class. But we are going to review. Okay, we're going to review what we've learned so far. You might want to do just a running list as you go through this with me to confirm you have it in your notes. I would like all of you to pass this class. If you pass this class, it means that you're able to study the notes that you have and you're able to reproduce that information on a final exam. Okay? So, that being said, I would review your notes and I would concern yourself with that which we have studied so far. And see to make sure that you have everything along the way, because some of you may have some absences. So we started off our class with 3 things. The importance of 3 things. Who remembers what those were? if you're struggling, you should look in your notes. That's probably a good place to start. Where do we start? Now, I'm not going to go into major detail about this stuff, but we haven't met for a week, and you have a final in 4 weeks. I want to make sure that you guys are clear of the information that we've covered so far. Okay, so we talked about author's purpose. You remember that? Hello? Do I have people? You guys remember that? Do you remember that? Hello? You can say no if you don't. David, you remember?
When did we talk about?
Whoa, way back at the beginning of the semester, 10 weeks ago, buddy. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Wait, at the beginning of the class or at the beginning of 2 weeks that you're talking about?
No, I'm talking way back. We're going all the way back. If your final exam covers everything we've discussed, you got to go all the way back. Author's purpose. Talked about that. We talked about audience.
Audience, yeah.
What else did we talk about that day?
Subject.
Subject. There it is. Okay, what else have we covered? Purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
Got that up there. Okay, good. Then we went into a little discussion about how we write a simple sentence. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Good. And we talked about parts of speech. Which parts of speech have we covered so far, folks? Who knows? Who remembers? Let's start out with one. Saul's late, so he's got to tell me right off the bit. Here we go. Saul, what was one of the parts of speech that we covered so far?
Nouns, pronouns.
Stop there.
Articles.
All right, that's it. You're on top of it for showing up late. That's good. Nouns, pronouns. What else? Articles. Somebody else?
Verbs,
Anything else? There we go. What kind of verbs?
helping verbs, linking verbs.
You have your notes. Awesome. Action verbs, linking verbs, helping verbs. Good. Did we cover anything else? What about descriptive terminology? Do you remember descriptive terms? Which terms did we cover? There was 2 of them. Adjectives was one of them. Good. Good. Adjectives, adverbs, we covered those. We covered a lot of information over the course of the semester. And then we talked about 2 other parts of speech. They connected ideas. Do you remember that? They connected the SVOs. What were those? There we go. Subordinating conjunctions. Does anybody remember the rules around these? What were the rules around subordinating conjunctions? Anybody remember the rules around subordinating conjunctions?
Words that used to join shocking sentence to make a paragraph.
Good. So yes, they are used to join choppy sentences. Somebody give me an example.
Because he was tired.
Huh? He is tired. What? That's not an example of a subordinating conjunction. No. Now think about the example of this. What are the words that we choose as subordinating conjunctions? Does anybody remember one of the words? I know. No, that's close. That's close. You got the other one.
Right. I think it was like
Although.
before.
I know this is struggle because it's been a week since we got together and you guys are like, I don't remember what we were doing. That's all right. We're going to come back.
We have that after.
Come back strong.
After.
After was one of them. Good. Although, after,
Before.
wait a minute. Oh, those sound familiar. Hold on. Don't those sound like prepositions as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something to consider.
To.
And, for, or, but, nor, so. Those are our coordinating conjunctions, aren't they? Don't those things have to have commas somewhere?
Yes.
Where do they go, before or after?
Before.
Good, comma before. If I have a subordinating conjunction, and it's at the beginning of the sentence, do I have a comma?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. If I have a subordinating conjunction in the middle of the sentence, like however, does it have a comma?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Ooh, come on, Brian, look at those notes.
No.
All right. So we've covered a few parts of speech here, right? We're missing one, though. We're missing one. What are we missing? There they are. Prepositions. What makes up a prepositional phrase, Beatrice? A preposition word, right? A word. And what? The what of the preposition? Who remembers? Elvis, you remember? A preposition and the what?
After and after.
Not the subject, it's the opposite. What's the end of the sentence? SVO. What's the last part?
The phrase.
Right? It makes up the phrase. The preposition, and then the rest of it. What's the rest of it called?
The controlling idea.
No, you're on the topic sentence. You're on the right track, but we're kind of looking at something different here. Prepositional phrase is a preposition and the object of the preposition. You remember that?
Like to the park,
Right.
like that.
Good. You guys really need to be reviewing your notes throughout the week and staying up to date with what's going on in class. Even if somebody's absent in the college class, the teacher's absent for a period, you have to still maintain your understanding.
Do you want us to write that too?
I don't think you need to if it's in your notes. We're just doing a quick review to kind of cover the information that we've already discussed in class, right? I think you're okay.
Okay.
Good, yeah, I don't think we need to cover this. You should have this in your notation already, okay? So, let's go back up here to our simple sentence really quick. We learned that we have an S, but we're missing a couple parts. What are they? Verb and
The object.
object, good. Okay, subject to verb and an object is a simple sentence, right? If I combine parts of speech, an adjective and a noun, and I use it at the beginning of the sentence, what do I have? An adjective and a noun. What do I call that? I use it at the beginning of the sentence. It's the actor in the sentence. What is that? It's the actor in the sentence. Yes, good. If it has an adjective on it as well, if it's got a describing word, do we just call it the simple subject or do we call it something else?
The complete complement.
Nicely done. So we don't want to forget that there are options. The complete subject and the simple subject. We talked about that. Should be in your notes. Okay? So am I missing anything that we've discussed so far? Something really important, something new, something we just went over. We'll look up there, review your notes, and make sure there's nothing missing in the review up here that we've covered that you want to just check in about real quick, okay? I'll bet you there's something up there that's missing. I'll bet you something's missing from up there.
Topic sentence.
Yes, topic sentence is one of them.
Controlling idea.
Uh-huh. And what is a topic sentence? We call it, it's a complete sentence, right? Okay, and it's also what? There's another word that I associated with it. Complete, and it's what?
Controlling idea.
No, that's part of it, but I'm looking for something else. Two words, Sandra.
Oh, I was thinking controlling idea.
Okay, we know that. You guys have that in your minds. That's awesome. That's fantastic. But what I'm looking for is it's limited and complete. It's a complete sentence, but it's narrow, right? It's small. It only has enough information in there to write a paragraph about. Right? Not big topics. We're not going to write about the whole bicycle. We're going to just write about the tire. Tire is made by Michelin. Tire can hold up to 45 psi. Tire is soft, and yet it's still hard enough to keep you moving down the road. It's grippy. I don't know if that's a word, grippy. It has grip. Okay, so we're talking about the tire. Because limited means just enough to describe in a paragraph. Okay, that's our paragraph sign. Don't forget that. We just got to that. Okay, now, Sandra, you tell me that word you just said. What was it? It was what was the part of a topic sentence?
Controlling idea.
Excellent. Now, Brian, a controlling idea has several parts to it. What are the two parts that a controlling idea has?
Controlling idea has a subject.
Good. And what else? Does it, no, wait a minute, hold on. No, wait, you're throwing me off here. It doesn't have a subject. You just said that to try to throw me off, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I knew you did. All right, so correct me, please. That was messy. Oh my gosh, we're confusing people, Brian. A controlling idea has what? Two things.
Develops a subject.
Yes, there we go. The value of the subject. I knew you. See, you had that word in your mind. Value, development of the subject, and then what? It also has something else. Sandra? Sandra?
The attitude?
Attitude. What do I use to create attitude? David, what parts of speech, David? What part of speech am I going to use to create attitude? Let's look at the parts of speech. They're up here on the board, buddy. Check it out. I've got all these different parts of speech. Let's pick a couple for attitude. Hang on. David, go ahead. Come on, buddy.
Verbs.
Verbs are one of them. That's awesome. Well done. When I say attitude, what do I mean? Am I talking about happy and sad? No, he's got his head shaking and smelling like this. Then he kind of did a little round robin like, maybe, I don't know, it could be, or maybe, yeah, no. What is it? Happy or no? Or am I talking about something else?
I don't think it's happy or
You're right. What do those symbols mean in math?
plus minus.
Plus, minus, or what? What do we call those, Jessica? Positive, negative. So when I'm talking about my attitude, what am I talking about?
My checking account.
Your checking account. No. Very funny, Brian. Positive or negative?
Tone.
Yeah, mine's usually the latter of those two. It's usually in the negative.
Mine hovers up.
Yours hovers in the middle. Yeah, we're kind of doing a circle. I got it.
Tone.
Okay, we're missing something in our topic sentence, though. We've got to talk about the most important part of our topic sentence, and what is that again? The subject. What I want you guys to see is that our topic sentence offers us access. It's like the backstage pass of the best concert ever. Because when you have this topic sentence, it includes all these other parts that we've already studied. That's what's so cool. So when we start to get over here and we're starting to talk about our paragraph, right? That paragraph, it just like connects to all this stuff. All of it, all of this. This whole thing is all our paragraph, okay? All these parts go into that paragraph, and they're so important because we learned at the beginning of class that every single word has meaning. You remember that? Even the small words like and but and for and so, those words, they all have meaning. But means in contrast, right? And means in addition to, doesn't it? So all these meanings, fantastic. It's an important part of it because as we write our paragraph, we have to know about these things in order to actually make sense the way we write. Now, one of the things that I asked all of you to do was to consider what you're writing and to find the parts of the sentences that we were trying to learn. Okay, well, remember we did that in all the different exercises. When we're looking at verbs, we tried to find the right type of verb. When we were looking at nouns, we were trying to find nouns. And we also found out that there were like proper nouns, and then there were those common nouns, right? What was the difference between those proper and common nouns? Who knows?
Proper is like
Who said it? I heard you whisper. Capitalization. You said it. He said it. He beat you to the punchline.
Yeah, proper is like a name of a person.
Excellent. Excellent. So you were right on with that. You said capitalization is the difference. You said that a proper noun is a name. That's right. But think about this. If I'm writing a subject, right, and I'm coming up with something that I want to discuss in a paragraph, would I use a proper noun sometimes?
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah? Is Monterey Peninsula College a proper noun?
Yes.
Yeah. Right? Is David a proper noun?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Is your experience a proper noun? No. Okay, so we start to think about the way that we use language to write bigger pieces of information down on paper. Because that's how people comprehend what it is that we are writing. They understand what we're writing. So we're going to go back to this every time. These two things. Okay? And then we add this little part here. And that's what I asked you guys to consider when you're writing every sentence. Now, there's something else to consider. There's something else to consider. And this is kind of where we go back in time to note how things connect, okay? And we're going to talk about how things connect. Do you ever notice how when someone starts talking to you about one subject, your mind changes about what it is? Like you start thinking about other things? You notice that? Like I'll bet all of you right now are thinking about lunch. And I'm talking to you about English. That happens, right? Yeah? Brian especially. So, but do you ever realize that sometimes someone will make a statement to you, and then the last thing they say will send you off on a tangent in your mind? Or you're waiting to tell them about your experience, right? Did you know that this weekend I fell off my bicycle? And your first response might be, do you know that I fell off my bicycle too? It was like 6 months ago, but I totally know exactly how you feel because I fell off my bicycle. What ends up happening? It becomes about the other person's experience, doesn't it? Because we always relate things to examples that we understand and we know or that we're familiar with, right? Okay, when you're writing college level material, that is a very good thing to consider. That's something you should think about because let's say I have a hat that's similar to your hat, okay? I'm not, my experience isn't as important as your experience in that moment. Your hat is the subject as opposed to my hat. But because I'm familiar with it, I might know more about where to look for information about that topic or that subject, right? And we started to learn last week, we were talking about how, actually not last week, I'm sorry, a week before, we were talking about on Wednesday, how to get, boy, we haven't seen each other in a long time, huh? My goodness, I just counted through all those days, that's a long time. So Wednesday, the week before, we were talking about examples. Do you remember that? Example sentences? Briefly, a little bit. We saw a video about Bigfoot, and we were kind of having some fun with Bigfoot, right? Brian, don't make Bigfoot noises. You're scaring me in the front row there.
Yeah.
Let's go back to this for a second. I want you guys to show me today that you have some of this down. These parts right here. I need to know that I need to know where you are. Okay? I know you're sitting in class. But I need to know where you are with this information. I want to be able to see you put this into action. So, what does that mean? That means that on this piece of paper right here, it's not a test. Don't worry, it's not a test. Okay? It's not a test. It's what I call an assessment. We have 4 weeks to go, and I need to know whether or not we need to revisit some of the information before we move into paragraphs. Okay? Because that's what we're talking about now. What I came to realize on the last class period that we met was that some of you guys may be struggling with this stuff, and so your paragraphs aren't going to improve until we cover more of this, or we get into more discussion about these pieces in a paragraph. Okay? So what I want to focus on for just for the next couple of minutes here, is I'm going to have you guys do what's called diagramming. Oh, rough. Okay, you're going to prove to me that you're ready to start writing some really solid paragraphs. You can do it. Here we go. So here's what we're going to do. We'll do the first sentence together. And we're going to just identify which words are in the sentences. That's all we're going to do. Okay? It's just an assessment. I'd like to see you do it on your own. Okay? Some of the words might not be familiar. That's fine. So here's what you're going to do with this. Here's your instructions. Okay? Instructions. Before you start working, let me make sure you know the instructions. I'm going to do them up here. Can I ask you just a little bit? I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. I want you to write at the top of, above each sentence. Okay? I want you to go. Actually, let's do this. Read through sentence. Read sentence by sentence. Okay? I want you to identify by writing an N over it. Very simple. Okay? Nouns. Okay, nouns. Verbs. Prepositions. Okay, I also want you guys to identify adjectives, which are words that do what?
Describe nouns.
There we go, describe nouns. Okay, I want you to describe verbs with adverbs. Remember, you're describing actions in most of those situations, okay?
Like a helping?
Yep, what's that?
Like a helping verb?
Any kind of verb. If it's a verb, you're going to identify it as a verb. Doesn't have to be differentiated between helping, action, or linking. I just want to know that you know what a verb is, where it is in the sentence. That's all, okay? Okay, so a verb. So you're going to identify verbs, nouns, prepositions, adjectives, and adverbs, okay? That's where you're going to start, and then you're going to identify any pronouns. Now, what is our key? What is our key? Hold on. What I want you to do is I want you to underline, and these are our keys, okay? Underline, noun is N. Very simple, okay? Oh, I can't forget articles. Article. What do you think article is going to be? Article.
It lets you know that a noun is coming.
It's going to be an ART. You're going to write that over it, okay? Pronoun. What's that going to look like?
ERN.
No, well, one or the other. Sure, that's fine. Pronoun will be PR. PR. Okay? A verb, what are you going to put? There you go, that's easy enough. V. Okay? So you're going to underline each word, and above it, you're going to write these terms. Okay? Adjective, what's that going to be?
ADJ.
Good. A, D, J. Adverb, if you can find one.
ADV.
ADV. Good. Okay? Let's start with that. I think that covers all of them.
Preposition.
Prepositions. Thank you.
Preposition, phrase.
I don't want the whole phrase. All I want is the preposition. If you find a preposition, you're going to write prep above it. Okay? And that should do it. So let's just start with that. These are them. These are the things I want you to find. Doesn't matter what kind of verb. Doesn't matter if it's a proper noun or if it's a regular noun. Okay, I just want you to find these things. Now you can use your notes to look back and see what the definitions of these words are, all right? If you see a conjunction, hold on. If you see a conjunction, one of the other things that we've already identified in class, it doesn't matter if it's a subordinating or it's a coordinating. If you see a conjunction, which is joining two SVOs, then you're going to write CONJ next to it, over it, and you're going to underline it. So if you see an and, a for, a but, a so, a nor, okay, and it's used properly, remember, sometimes those words are conjunctions, but they're not necessarily coordinating or subordinating. They're just used to join plurals, like multiple things. Okay, so if you see a conjunction, I want you to underline it and just write CONJ on it. So you're going to do that on this paragraph. Do it neatly for me. That's very important because I need to be able to see what you're writing above each word, and I need to make sure that I see which word you're underlining. So only underline that word. Try to be as neat as possible. This is very important for the next steps in our class, all right? And I need to see this. So let's do that now. You have a good 20 minutes maximum to do this, and I'd like you to do this independent of me because I need to get a real sense of where you are. David?
I was just gonna ask, do we see a subject, we put an N for noun or we put?
Yes, I don't want you to worry about subject, verb, object. All I'm looking for are nouns, verbs, prepositions, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, articles, conjunctions. Okay, those are all the things that we've looked at, all of the parts of speech that we've talked about in class. I want to see if you can identify some of them. Go word by word after you read the whole sentence and figure out whether or not you see those in your text, okay? Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just-
This is half done.
So make sure you're.
No, they got mine on Wednesday.
Keep working through it. So this may take people longer, some people longer than others. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say this. If you finish a little early, like let's say you're done right now, you're like, oh, I just rocked right through that, okay? I don't want anybody to feel pressure. So take your time, do word by word, you can use your notes. This is really, really important at this point in the semester for me to get a sense of where you are in your understanding of the terms that we've studied. So it's 11:40 now. I'm going to call time around 12, okay, because I'm seeing some of you are only like a sentence or two in, and it's taking a little more time. So if you get done a little early, I ask that you either remain quiet, work on something else, whatever it is you need to do, or step outside of the class for a little break, and then you can come back in at 12:10. Okay, that's when I'm going to make sure that everyone's finished and handed in, and everyone has a little break. Just want to be fair to the whole class. Have a couple of extras too, if you need one, you made a mistake or whatnot. Okay. Just try to take your time, remember to look at your notes and see what they are, look for the definition. Consider what the words are, and if it's one of those, then you mark it. Okay? It's tough, I know, but I want to make sure that you guys are prepped for a final, 4 weeks before you have a final exam. remember, make sure you're using the word in the sentence. You're reading the word in the sentence for meaning. That's the important part. You can't just because a word is used as a verb in some situations, it may be used differently in others. So we have to make sure we have to read the sentence too. Don't just go word by word. We've got to make sure we read each sentence for meaning and then mark it accordingly, okay? If you don't know what it is, that's all right. You can leave it blank and you can move on to the next word in the sentence. I want to make sure that you make an effort, but that you don't feel overwhelmed. Again, this isn't a test. It is an assessment to see where you stand in our class, okay? So just do the best you can.